Thank you so much for being here. I'm here with Kelly Emmrich. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yes, perfect.
Kelly, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we start.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm living in New York City in Brooklyn. Currently, I'm attending Pratt Institute for the graduate degree in animation. And I started illustrating in 2019 when I was working an office job for, it was a floral company and I was doing sales actually.
Oh, wow.
So I would get home and be kind of in a creative void, and I just needed to kind of draw, and I saw all these Instagram challenges and decided to go for it and ended up drawing every day in 2019, and then it kind of just snowballed into animation. I did take an animation class in college, but didn't really get super into it. And then the pandemic hit, and then joined TikTok at the request of some of my friends. And just started animating, and it's kind of snowballed from there.
That's
and now
incredible.
I freelance.
So you started as a creative writer then, right?
Mm-hmm, yes. So I worked when I moved here right after graduation in 2018, and I worked first as a PR intern for a fashion company.
Oh,
so I was
cool.
like helping with Fashion Week, and mainly in that job, like messaging different people, like, here's your ticket. So not really creative writing per se. But then I worked as a blogger for a blockchain tech company.
Okay, that's so
Didn't know anything
from
about
fashion
tech.
to blockchain.
Yeah.
180.
Yeah. And then I ended up getting a sales job for a floral design company. So at that point, I was kind of like, my contract ended after 7 months, and I was like, it's time. Like, I have to do something more creative. Yeah.
That's really cool. So my first question was specifically, were you always creative? I mean, because the content that like I think I messaged you this that I saw you on TikTok, which is how I was like I was like this is amazing. It's so beautiful, and it's like one of those things where like you see a video and then you like go to the like the account, and then you just like end up scrolling until like you get to the end and like I need more.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice.
But yeah, so I'm just like I have to reach out, and I have to know more about this person. And yeah, like my initial question is, were you always creative, from I guess from a younger age? Were you very like curious and creative? Did you like
I suppose so. Like I think in different forms though. I was very into musicals. My mom taught piano, and she like directed musicals for high school when I was little. And then she was a music teacher in my elementary school. So I've always been around music, and my dad plays the guitar and the mandolin and banjo and a whole bunch of other stuff. So he would record albums, and he would write his own music and just kind of for fun do that. So I think I was creative in different ways. Like all children doodle, so I would do that, but nothing really that serious. It is really fun now looking back at my childhood doodles. Mom still has them like in a big old scrapbook. So I kind of like want to go back and like animate my childhood drawings.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, because they're like super wacky characters, and a lot of butterflies, a lot of polar bears, just the classic kid stuff, a lot of stick figures and really long hair and triangles. But I would say I was creative in different ways, like more in an English sense. Like I'd write a lot of scripts. I would write a lot of music, really bad songs, which I found when I was moving out of my parents' home.
You're like,
yeah.
It shall never see the light
Yeah,
of day.
the light of day. Like I think there was a song about lightning that I wrote.
Oh, that's so wholesome.
Yeah, like I'm from Virginia originally.
I was gonna ask you like, oh, where are you from?
Yeah.
Where from in Virginia?
Like Charlottesville area, but Crozet is the town that I live in. It's like 30 minutes outside of Charlottesville, but it's like near the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah.
A lot of hiking.
I'm from Mexico, so I'm in Mexico right now. But I grew up in West Virginia, Morgantown, West Virginia. So
cool.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's in the neighborhood.
Yeah, in the same mountain range.
Yeah, exactly. So was there a specific point where you got into animation? So it was like your friends, you started doing it, you signed up to TikTok, or how did that become?
I took art in high school, mainly just like the general art classes. I didn't super love it, and then I ended up going to college, and I at that point like loved literature and English and Jane Austen and discussing writers and stuff. And my uncle, he also at the time worked for the New York Times, so he like was a writer, and didn't really push me in that direction, but he definitely inspired me like through his own career.
Mhm.
Um, and so I had taken all these classes, and I decided, like, I was pretty deep into my English major, that I wanted to get a minor in digital studies, just to kind of like round out the communications. Like, if I did want to do journalism, like my uncle, but I, like, through the criteria of that minor, I had to take a digital art class.
Mhm.
And I was just like, oh no, I picked the wrong major. Like, I think that was my junior year, second semester. And we did one animation project that was like a hand drawn animation, so like with sticky notes, like
Yeah.
in like a light box. And I just fell in love. And then like the next semester, which was my senior year, first semester, I took an animation course and further fell in love. And then I took a digital production, video production course, and then I graduated and kind of didn't do anything with it. I just was like, oh, I have this English degree now, let's just do it. And I did like kind of do little small projects to try to, I don't know, improve. But
Yeah.
I was not, like, looking at my portfolio back in 2018 versus now. Oof.
There's yeah.
Yeah, a big
Big mountain.
plus. And I wasn't even really into Photoshop and drawing digitally in any capacity. I was more so like, I'm into painting and I like to do traditional, and kind of, I don't know, a little gatekeepy about that. Like,
Kind of
but
protect, yeah, because I mean it seems like you definitely grew up in a very creative environment, you know. I
yeah.
guess it wasn't thrown onto you, but it was around you.
Hmm.
And I guess with that, like, could you like walk us through your creative process now, like?
So like I walk every day,
Mhm.
and now that I live in the city and not Virginia, I was in Virginia for a lot of the pandemic, or most of the pandemic. Um, so I was like hiking every day, and I would kind of just document what I was seeing in on video or with photographs. So that's how I got a lot of my ideas, was just like, oh, like, I don't know, finding like the beauty in like little things, like the trees rustling and different birds. Like, we had a bird nest that set up like right outside my window. So it was like, I don't know, little things like that made me happy. And like, my identity pre-pandemic was so tied to, I would wear lipstick all the time.
Yeah.
And now, like, with the masks, I don't wear it as much. Like today I'm wearing it, but um
Special
so
occasion.
yeah, so like I realized that during the pandemic I was putting on a full face of makeup every day, and I'm like,
Hmm.
that's kind of interesting. Like, I should probably draw, I don't know, like, it came from daily life, and all that inspiration comes from that. So when I kind of start to go make a video, I pick a color palette. That's kind of what I do.
Yeah, that was definitely
Yeah.
one of my questions as well.
So how I find color palettes now, I have this like color palette book my friend gave
Mhm.
to me for like my 24th birthday, I think. And then I go to a lot of flea markets and a lot of thrift shops, and I find like really funky 80s patterns and like take a picture, and I'm just like, that's a cool color palette. Definitely have never
That's
studied
super
color
great.
theory, but I'll hopefully do that in grad school.
No, but for sure, yeah. But like it's something that definitely catches your eye, like right spot on when you start looking at the content that you created. It's something very specific, the
Mhm.
colors that you use, and
Yeah.
where do you get it, and why specifically, and how do you choose, maybe, like, how do you choose what color palette goes with like what subject matter?
I kind of just go with what I'm feeling. A lot of the times I do start drawing, and then I kind of pick a song as well and
Hmm.
music to go through with something, because I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I'll see a picture on Pinterest, and I'm like, oh, what an amazing like color scheme. And I'm like, I got to do something like similar in like the same vein as this. But usually, I don't know. A lot of my work is very, I guess, nostalgic is
Yeah.
a encompassing
Mhm.
way. So just a lot of like, I kind of try to stick to 70s-esque color schemes, because that, I don't know, even though I wasn't alive then, feels the most nostalgic, and I guess
Mhm.
like vintage summer aesthetic. So So I kind of just go with that. And then when I set out to make a video as well, I film myself quite a bit, or
Okay.
take like kind of reference video to try to piece together a scene. Then I usually use that reference video, like I put that in Premiere, like edit it together like a live video at first, like
So
to kind of time it out.
so you like you act out the scenes that you're going to. Oh,
Yeah,
that's so cool.
or
I
like
didn't
most
even,
of them.
yeah, that's so interesting. So okay, so I guess like tying into that, like your, so right now I guess the format that you generally use is, I guess, you know, short format videos, and what you mentioned about music, and I guess again like talking about, you know, the creative aspect, that not aspect but the creative environment, you know, your parents sort of being very into music, that was also one of my questions, is because it's very it's very tied in, you know, to the music that you use for your videos. And my question was, how do you come across, like, do you come across the music and be like, oh, I want to reach out to this artist and like ask if I can collaborate, or do they reach out to you now and like and say like, oh, can you create this for this, or how do you, I guess, how do you come across, or how do you do that?
Well, for TikTok, I typically, like for my own personal videos, I
Mm-hmm.
don't typically ask.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, I use like all of the audio from
Yeah.
TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like reaching back to them. And usually it's like piano people, or just like little riffs that people put on there, that wouldn't be found on Spotify or anything. But then if it's like ever my own sound, or sometimes it's not even that, but like typically if someone asks me to use a sound, I don't charge for that if I'm just posting it
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok.
Yeah.
But some like probably like 2 or 3 musical artists have been like, hey, could you just like put my song on like your saved music list and like get around to it when you can? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. That'd be so fun. Like I love that song. So yeah, I kind of just go with the flow a little bit. Like there are some pieces that I don't pick the song until the end, and it's like all in TikTok, it's all edited, it's all filtered and color graded and all that stuff. And I'm like scrolling through probably like 40 or 50 different songs being like, no, that doesn't quite fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's a lot of just like feeling, I guess.
Yeah. And so once you find that song, like how do you choose? I mean, this is a strange question, but like how do you get inspired with the song of like, oh, I think this, I'm going to draw this, or you know, this goes really well, you know, because you mentioned you use a lot of inspiration from videos of things that you've taken. So how do you like do that matching process? Or do you just
Um,
fit something like a musical score to fit this, like, you know, scene in your life?
Kind of. Uh, I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of it is feeling. It's kind of like when you're editing a video, like a video production-esque
Mhm.
video. You kind of just it's hard to learn where to cut,
Mm.
but you kind of just intuitively feel it. And with music, it's super helpful because it's just like on the beat or like on the off beats. And I think since like I am musically, like, I don't know.
Intuitive, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
And like in college, I was in an a cappella group and I used to
Oh,
like
okay.
arrange
Hmm.
the songs. So like I do know, like, I don't know how to read music
Yeah, the structure
theoretically.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do really want to take a sound design course, then I can start to make my own kind of music, like scores for my animations. That'd be kind of the end goal of just doing everything myself. But
So you
yeah,
would like to write music then? So write your own music for your
yeah,
videos? That's
that'd be very
cool.
fun.
Yeah. Have you started? Do you have anything in like the works, or?
I've done it once, but like it was just garage band, like no vocals. I'm
Mm-hmm.
probably wouldn't do any lyrics or anything. It probably just would be like ambient, kind of like
Like instrumental. Mhm.
instrumental things. Just I don't know. Like I love also I did a Foley project in college,
Mhm.
like creating my whole soundscape, which that was so fun.
And I guess going on to that, you do have a directorial debut with the music video that you directed and animated for,
Mhm.
is Muka and La Marquise,
Yes, yeah.
Cheap Red Wine. How was that? Can you like tell us about that. Because it's
was,
one, it's absolutely beautiful. Two, it made me cry. Three,
oh,
it makes me want to like have a glass of wine while I'm like watching it, and it's just beautiful. And because I guess like following up on the previous question, you know, you're known for doing your short video formats, and this is,
mhm,
you know, full length music video,
which was
and
the hardest thing I've ever done.
yeah. So I just tell me all about it. I want to know every detail of like how that experience was, you know, how it made you feel, and how that process
So
was.
I've been talking with Muka since like 2019, I think like the fall of then, and I was like, I'm just an illustrator. Like I don't feel confident enough like in myself to take on doing a full music video, and I'm very
Mhm,
glad that I did not do it then.
mhm,
I'm glad that I waited. But he kind of I gave him like kind of a storyboard idea, like a general overview of like, this is kind of the mood I want to create. Here's the color palette, how you feel. And he was kind of just like, you do you, and just
oh
kind of like let me
yeah.
go. And I just
Mhm.
sent him like little updates throughout, and he didn't have many notes. So it was really cool to work with someone like that, who kind of just let me do my thing,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty rare in the industry.
Yeah,
I'm
for
not quite
sure.
sure because I'm so green at this whole thing. Um, but it was really, really cool as that was my first experience doing a longer form. Like I think the longest animation that I'd ever made was like a minute 45. So
Oh
having
wow.
to
So
plan
yeah.
out
Mhm.
was really intense, like 4.5 minutes. That was like, it took
How
forever.
how many storyboards did you end up doing for like the entire thing?
Um, I don't even remember. It's too many. Which not all of them got sent to him because at a certain point he kind of was like, this is a lot.
And so how long was the process? I mean, I guess he contacted you in 2019, you said, and
Mm-hmm.
so when?
It probably was 7 months from like beginning of animation to end.
Oh, well, that's still a really long time.
Yeah.
And
And it wasn't like I was full throttle going, like doing it all the
mhm,
time because like I was working full time in the pandemic, and
mhm.
um, he was quite busy as well because he also runs a radio show with the BBC. So
Oh wow, that's
yeah.
really cool. And
Uh, so we were
so
kind of both a little busy.
yeah, so from the initial, so he contacted you in 2019, and when did you say like, okay, I feel like I'm ready, or
I
was
think
it
it
just
was
him giving you time to like slowly do it? Or was there like
um
a second call where it was like, okay, I'm ready to do this. I'm taking on the project.
so I
Here's
think
my
it was
idea.
August of 2020 where we first like had our like initial call
Mhm.
for like, it's time, let's finally do this. And I'm like, I'd been animating that whole summer, and I'm like, okay, I can probably do this. um we shall see. Like, and so I probably started like in earnest animating in September or October, and then I didn't finish until like March.
Okay. Yeah.
um so it was a long process.
What was like the hardest thing that you came across, or that you felt was like, okay, this is a really big obstacle, and what was, I guess, the biggest satisfaction that you got from it?
I think making everything fit together through the different months, because as I was doing this, I was doing other client work and I was doing other personal work. So I was constantly improving. And then I think the hardest part was like going back to that first scene that I drew and being like, I don't know if I like this anymore. Like, does it
Mm-hmm.
fit?
Hmm.
Because since I was still learning throughout that, and I'm still learning, let's be honest. Like throughout that whole
We all
process,
are.
yeah, never stop learning. Throughout that whole process, like looking at those first early shots, I'm like, that doesn't
Hmm.
quite
You
fit
don't
with,
identify with yourself even.
yeah.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
like at the beginning, I started doing a lot of line work, and
Mhm.
now I don't super love line work driven like art for myself, just because it takes a long time, and I like more the color block look, and just like straight color.
Mhm.
Like I use line work to guide myself through, but then I take it away for the final piece. Um, but those first like initial videos were using line work as like part of the finished piece, and like the underlayers were not as clean and polished as I usually like them. So it just, I wasn't as good when I was first starting, which I say was my hardest thing of having to go back and
No,
like
I mean,
fix.
because you say that, but I guess from a view, like an audience point of view, like I would have never seen that. But I think, I think we ourselves are
Yeah.
like
And like I will always
enemy.
see the little mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah, you're saying that now. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't see it like much difference other than,
Yeah.
I guess, because it's also, narrative and it's telling a story that you like, it's a progression. So I don't know. Like, it's interesting that you say that now, because now I'm gonna be like, I want to watch it back again, and with
Yeah.
this information, sort of like, oh, okay, I see. But I guess that's really nice, because you took on this challenge that initially you were, sort of like, oh, I'm not ready for this, and then
And now I know I can do
yeah,
something like that.
exactly.
Yeah, which is kind of a nice thing for myself to know.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
when I do end up doing like my dissertation final like short film thing, I can be like, okay, I've made something of this length before.
yes,
I can do it.
exactly. Yeah, and I think it's really beautiful, because I think it's also like a time capsule in its way for you
Yeah.
personally, because like you said, from that, like, I guess, like beginning scene into the end scene, you saw like the progression of your artistry and in those 7 months. And I think that's
It
really
is
beautiful.
cool.
And like, I feel
Yeah.
like that attaches something really nice to it as well, I guess, from a viewer standpoint.
Yeah.
And so is this the beginning of your sort of directorial,
I hope so. Gosh.
career? Are you working on anything, or do you want to work on something that's like more, I guess, shifting into more long format? I know that, like, social media and everything,
Mhm.
like, we have very short attention
Attention spans.
spans.
Yeah.
And I guess, like platforms like TikTok and, Instagram reels and stuff like that do limit, I guess, the
Mhm.
artist into having to do very short, like maximum 1 minute to 3 minute videos.
Mhm.
But is it something that you're, going to look forward to, like, I guess, do more in your career?
I hope so. I really love working with musicians, especially because I don't know, I do love music. And they're such creative people themselves, and it's cool to work with them. Like I've done a couple of Spotify videos
Oh,
for
really?
people. And I do like that because it is 7 seconds. So it's like one and done. Which that is really nice. And then I've done a
Which
couple.
artists have you done? Sorry to cut you off.
There's one coming out, Connor, I forget his artist name. It's like Auric Echoes, I think.
You can send it later, and
Yeah,
I'll add it
I'll
to
send it through. Yeah.
yeah.
But that's coming out. And then I've done two for one artist,
That's
Worry
okay.
Stone. That's the artist name.
Worst? No.
And then I've done Shell Swayze, a couple of videos, or one video for them, and then Swell Shark.
That is a really good segue into my next question. This isn't planned, I swear to you, but it's all flowing very nicely. Yeah. Because actually, my next question is literally like, any playlist recommendations for your animation sessions?
Oh my
Like,
gosh, so
yeah.
many.
That's literally my next question.
So during the pandemic, embarrassingly, I got really into, or not embarrassing, but like classical music and jazz.
Oh,
But
yeah.
on YouTube,
That's
I
not
would listen,
embarrassing.
but this is on YouTube, I would like listen to these like really long playlists that like my ghost is playing with like my ghost friend in candlelight in a manner. Like it would be like that playlist, and it would be this like classical
Really?
music, which they kind of like build these worlds and have Debussy and like a whole bunch of classical pieces that are like, I love songs in minor as well. I'm kind of just a sad person. So I like sad music and very somber piano pieces. And then I got really into West Coast jazz and different like cafe playlists. And also, so there are all these playlists on YouTube and then also Spotify that's like a broken-hearted mermaid, and then a broken-hearted vampire, broken-hearted siren, and it's like all these kind of like atmospheric piano songs and violins and stuff.
I'm gonna look into this because this sounds amazing. I'm also like I'm a very like avid Spotify user. Like I use it every day. It's like constantly on, and I'm funny that you say jazz. I've gotten like into like experimental jazz recently,
Ooh,
which is
that's
like
cool.
I've been listening to. His name is Colin Stepson or something like that, and
That
has
sounds
like
familiar.
very he's done I think he's done the soundtrack for several like movies, and
Oh, cool.
like I don't know if you watched Hereditary.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, worst film, like amazing film, but like worst film was like it just took a part of my soul away.
Yeah,
but
I'm bad at horror, so
but yeah, he scored that film, and he has different albums, and I've been like listening to that, which is like it's really strange if like for example like my roommate coming in and just like what are you
yeah,
listening to, like are you okay, because it's just
I'm the
really
same.
out there. But yeah, that just got me thinking. And yeah, but that's really lovely. I'm going to ask you for like all these playlists,
Heck yeah.
like for the article, but also for very much for my personal interest.
And then I do have like the playlist that because I don't use Spotify, I use Napster, which is kind of
Oh,
embarrassing.
okay. Does that still exist?
Yeah, so it was bought
No
by
idea.
Rhapsody. Someone bought someone. So I used to have Rhapsody
No.
because I had a Zune.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and Spotify, like I don't know if that existed yet, but and then Apple Music only went with iPods and
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I used Rhapsody, and then Rhapsody turned into Napster. So now it is like a paid subscription, like it's a legal thing,
Yeah.
but it still has like little ghost with headphones. It has the little icon.
I had no idea that it still existed, to be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, I think before Spotify, I used to use like Groove Shark,
Oh,
and then
cool.
and then yeah, and then just like migrated to Spotify.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will definitely be asking for these playlists.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
have one that I give to people that it's like songs that I animate to, and it's like a mishmash of like cottagecore songs, but then also like, I don't know, 70s and 60s music. A lot of
love it.
Jefferson Airplane.
I'm looking forward to hearing it. And so I guess moving on, my next question is like, what advice would you give yourself, to Kelly from 5 years ago?
Oh man.
It's a little bit more deep, so if you need time to think about it, that's fine.
I would honestly probably just say to myself, like, just to go for whatever I want to go for. I wish that I had started drawing digitally earlier a little bit. I don't know. I'm not a very like regretful person in general. Like I'm kind of like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Or so.
No, yeah, for sure. Me too.
So I think I'm like on a good path now. Definitely like when I was first graduating and going through all these jobs when I first got to New York, like feeling quite lost. I think I needed that a little bit to get where I am today and like feel more confident in myself and like realize like I can do the hustle if I need to. And like I can live in New York City like if I need to, which I am right now. But I don't know. I would say just be confident. Definitely graduate because I don't know. Having a degree I think is
Something that's
somewhat important, which it is such a privileged thing as well. But I don't know. Having anything, a degree in anything, will open doors to anything. And I don't know. I'm glad that I did that for myself and also just for my parents as well.
Yeah. No, I feel you as well. And how was moving to New York, and why did you decide to move to New York?
So it'd been a dream since I was a little girl, more so in high school because I had Broadway aspirations. But obviously like I have such like stage fright now as an adult, but I'm also like not that good. So it wouldn't have actually panned out. But I think it's something that I needed to do. So when I was first leaving and first graduating, my friend and roommate at the time. She's still here. I live only like 2 doors down from my original apartment, so she's still in that apartment place. So we buy plants together and stuff. But she was going to NYU for a journalism magazine master's, and I was like, okay, let's go. And I had actually applied to the same program that I'm in now and gotten in, and was like kind of slated to do that. But I just kind of chickened out at the last second because I was unprepared, which I am kind of glad that I did not do it at that time. I got better loans this time as well. So money-wise, it wouldn't have been probably as smart, and I think I wouldn't have gotten as much out of it as I will now. Like I think I needed time in between my undergraduate degree and now my graduate to like kind of settle into myself a little bit more. Because now like I'll make art that I actually want to use in my portfolio. Like when I went to go to and apply to jobs and studios and stuff after I graduate. But I think back in 2018, I was not ready at all to do that.
I feel you. I feel you. I think
and plus like going back into academia, like having to sit in classes, I was like so burnt out. I'd been in classes, like I didn't take a gap year or anything between high school and college. So I'd been a student forever. Yeah. And I think I needed to like know who I was outside of that boundary before I like jumped into a master's program.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I think I went through like the similar process of, graduating, and I guess like everyone tells you like the next step is to do a master's, because in these days you just can't do it with a university degree, even though that is, like you said, such a privilege in the first place, but it's, not enough these days. And I think I went through that process as well of like, okay, but who am I though? Like, what do I want to study? I don't even know if I should have studied the thing I studied last time. And so I feel, like taking the time to get to know yourself and to really, sort of, plus your 20s are such a weird, like, it's just such a weird state of like self-discovery. And and I think with then the pandemic, everyone kind of did a lot of retro and like introspection.
And I think I would have done it earlier if the pandemic hadn't happened. But I don't know. I didn't even want to apply or do it. Like when I came back to Virginia for the pandemic, I was like, I'm not working in an office. I'm gonna be a bartender. Like that's just gonna be the thing. So I applied to like vineyards and breweries as a tasting room associate.
That's amazing.
And in that interview, the owner, so it's like in my hometown, and I found out that the dad was the owner of like one of my really good friends in high school. I was like, oh, that's so fun. And so he was asking me about like my friend group and stuff. And at the time I was also working on a board game with my friend Josh. And we were like all in the same friend group in high school. And he was like, oh, you do art? I need beer label designs. Let's do it. So it kind of like snowballed into this other design job. So I got some good confidence from having my first like actual professional design experience and working with like kind of a family friend-esque person. So it was a good, safe place. And then I ended up like doing the Instagram, all the pamphlets, all of the posters that like for all the events and stuff, online events. And then like when the pandemic like was getting a little bit better, we like opened up slightly like for outdoor seating, and then just doing different like organizing of that and like flyers and social media things. And I did work in the food truck at that time too, so learned how to cook a little bit, which that was kind of a nice job for the pandemic. Obviously food service has its issues, but and like food prep has its issues too, but it was okay. And then I got vaccinated early because of it, so that was nice too.
That's amazing. That's great. I mean, I guess now hearing it, and I understand your sort of mindset of everything happens for a reason, because I mean, it seems like the universe sort of put you in the situations where you're supposed to be, and got preparation for where you are now, and that's really lovely to hear. And so I guess this is my last question, so we can still continue speaking because I'm having a very lovely time.
Aw.
Is so what can we expect from you in the future? And are there any projects that you're working on that you want to tell us, or any future I guess future projects that you want to manifest, or people that you'd like to collaborate with?
Honestly, any musicians I would love to collab with. Right now I have kind of taken a little bit of a pause just
Mhm.
to make sure like I can handle the workload of a
Mm.
grad student.
Yeah.
I'm unsure of how intense it's going to be. So I'm not taking like any new commissions or any, I don't like, I'll continue with the projects that I'm working on right now, which are all like illustration based projects. Like I'm still working on the one board game from way back when. And then I'm working on a card game. So right now we're on the like rule book design portion. So I'm like all in design, kind of going nuts on that. So that's like I guess a different facet. So it's kind of nice to be able to do personal creative work
Mhm.
like in the form of animation, then do illustrative work because it actually goes so much faster since it's just like one frame.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice. But I think once I like figure out how intense grad school is, I'll open it back up if it's not too intense. But this semester, I have a class that's like working towards an installation, either group or individual.
Mhm.
And then I have a class that's working towards a short film, either group or individual. So at least I'll be doing that. Not paid, but educational.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's still part of your, growing process as
Yeah.
well, growth process.
And like the installation will be either in like the Pratt building or potentially like somewhere in New York City. So we shall
That's
see.
amazing. Honestly, I feel like New York is just a creative hub in itself. It's just
It's
its
so
own
cool.
strange universe. So yeah, whenever anyone says like I moved to New York, like I feel like dreaming about moving to New York is already a step, because it's
Yeah.
such an intimidating place that
I
actually
mean,
doing it
yeah.
is just
It's
wild.
a wild place to live and it's definitely quite depressing at times, but it's like it's hard to live here. And you do have to be like pretty thick-skinned to live here, but there are little things that, like make it so rewarding. Like on my street, like I'm from a mountain town, so like at Christmas they like put up these little like stars and trees and stuff like
Yeah.
on the street lights, and like that just reminds me of, I don't know, like my town.
Yeah,
And there's
yeah.
like little things like that, like, oh my gosh, a black squirrel, ah, like they don't have those in Virginia. And I don't know, like little things make you happy here, and I feel like that's the thing that keeps you going. And like it is such a cool place to live. Like everyone's always hustling and doing so many creative things. It's very overwhelming but very inspiring.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, kudos to you, honestly. It's just, I mean, I don't know. We're so young, and the thing that I love about this is that you get to speak with people who are, passionate about what they do and they're following their dreams. And I mean,
Yeah.
you're just an example of it, because I always like, not always, this has been like a mindset just recently of, what's the difference of sort of seeing, the lives, like we consume everyone's lives, through media. And I think it's very easy to get into this state of like, oh, like either like sort of anger slash jealousy of like, why are they doing this and I'm not, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I think you get to this point where like, well, the only difference is that they're doing it and, you're not, like
Yeah.
they're putting themselves out there. They're, they're publishing their work, they're trying, they're doing their best. And I think that, just by the fact of sort of following those steps and following your heart and understanding of like, okay, I need time. Like I'm not ready for this, but now I am. And all of those things are just really like, it's just really nice to sort of hear about them. Cause like I said, I mean, as myself, I only saw your work, I don't know this person. I just know that I'm in love with what they do. It's beautiful, but like understanding the entire process of who you are as an artist and seeing like that evolution, like now looking back at your art, I'm going to be like, oh, this is, like I'm going to enjoy it so much more because I have like that backstory.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really nice.
I'm very happy for you. I'm glad that you're taking those steps, and I mean I can't wait to see more. I have no doubt that you're going to accomplish all of your dreams. And so what career goals like do you I mean, not career goals, but I guess like where do you see yourself, you know, like what's next, what would you like,
I would like
besides
to work
graduating,
for, yeah,
obviously.
definitely graduating.
Besides graduating.
But I would like to work for some kind of studio. That would
Mhm.
probably be the goal for like at least a couple of years. I probably won't be in the city forever. Like maybe when I'm 30, I do want to have kids and like
Yeah.
get married and stuff. And I don't know if I want to raise kids here. So I might want to like, I don't know. Another reason why I'm getting my graduate degree is because I do eventually want to be a professor of animation.
Oh, that's lovely.
And
Yeah.
when I'm a little bit older and more experienced. So I feel like that would be really nice to do. I don't know, I'm a very back office person. Like my mom always said the same thing, like as a piano teacher and as a musical director. She always loved to see people thrive, like through her education.
Yeah.
And that was like the most rewarding thing. And I don't know, I like showing my friends how to animate and seeing what they create from it, or like the messages that I get that's like, me to draw today. Like those make me so happy. Because it's like, I don't know, I would message little things like that when, or like say little things to different people that inspired me, like professors and teachers and stuff, being like, oh, this class was so cool. Like it made me like want to draw more, or like write more, do little things. And I don't know, that would always make them happy. And now that makes me really happy to hear like that my work can impact someone to do something creative.
Yeah, for sure. That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. My mom's a professor as well, so I definitely understand where you're coming from. Like you know, growing up seeing, she's just a graphic designer, so like growing up seeing her like love her job as well. Like I definitely understand it, and I think we definitely need more educators with that mindset as well. You know, that truly want to inspire and I mean, I love it. It's such a beautiful message.
I do love
nice,
creating my own work, but I love like what other people can do with like the same knowledge.
But that's very like it's selfless of you, to be honest. Like I think, you know, someone, I guess, or I guess generally you'd say like, oh, I want my career, I want to be successful, I want this and this and this, and you know, and having a mindset of I want to pursue my passion, but I also want to, you know, put my like I guess inspire others to do the same is I think it's something that's very unique and not so common these days as well. And so that's very lovely. I'm really, yeah, no, I'm like I said, I generally love everything that you do, and I mean with this conversation I'm gonna love it even more. And it's so nice to hear. But yeah, I don't.
And like one thing that my mom always told me, and like I kind of try to keep with me, is it doesn't matter what you do, it's just like decide what you want to do first. You have your whole life to pick so many different things. So it's just, I want to do animation now, but will I want to in 5 years? I don't know.
Yeah,
I could have a whole family, who knows.
Yeah, you could, you know, be commissioned to do, you know, one of the biggest artists tomorrow, and that could definitely change everything. And that's,
or I could get like really back into publishing and do book covers or graphic novels, and who knows.
I love it. There's a subtle beauty of, I guess, the unknown, and kind of just living your life day by day and seeing what's going to happen. And that's a really nice way of living.
Yeah, and I think no one really knows entirely what they want to do.
No,
ever.
for sure.
Like no one has ever, like my mom is now in her 60s, and which I probably shouldn't have said that.
We'll cut it out. It's fine. No one's gonna know.
But yeah, she just turned 60 and she's like struggling. But she's been teaching for so long, and now she's getting a little bit burnt out, like using the same books and stuff, and she loves to cross stitch. And we one summer, when I was in undergrad still, maybe I was still in high school, we did a summer camp that was a craft camp with some for piano students, and she was like, oh, this is so fun. Like we would hike to the river and like collect little rocks and then go home and paint the rocks, and we'd like make little beaded jewelry and like little weavings out of leaves and grass and stuff. And she loves to cross stitch, and I'm like, you should work at like a craft store and like teach little classes and stuff. So that might be her next retirement journey. Who
Yeah.
knows? And then my parents also always talk about like selling everything and like getting an RV,
Oh,
traveling
yeah.
across America. So that's another thing
I
that they
think
could
about
possibly
that every
do.
day.
Yeah. And their
Oh,
middle
for sure.
names are Vinny and Claire, which I think like Vinny and Claire in an RV sounds like a great reality show.
You
Like I
should,
would definitely watch.
yeah, you should animate like their, I
Oh
guess.
my gosh, that would be
Yeah,
an idea. That's a good idea.
just animate like what you think would probably happen and, the
Yeah.
adventures of Vinny and Claire.
Yeah. I know my family is such an inspiration for animation as well. Like my great grandma, I like have this on my desk because I was talking to a friend about it.
Mhm.
She like published this book in 1932, and it's like a book of
Wow.
poems.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so it's for my grandma, so it says like to Harriet on it.
Mhm.
Um, and there's just like some great poems and texts in here. And one of the guys that I live with, he is a creative writing major.
Mhm.
So he does poetry. So we might do like a little collab where like and he does like a lot of nature-based poems. I don't know. It's cool to like live with some very creative people. Like they're so cool.
No, but that's really beautiful. I think like I said, I think like everything ties into like who you are, and it's really nice. It's really special to sort of have this and get to know you a bit better and understand, who you are, and I guess what's next for you. And I mean, I I don't know, like it's like it's very wholesome, and it's very like you seem like a very like warm-hearted person. You're coming from a very
Hope so.
genuine from like a very genuine yeah, just a genuine aspect of your just trying to understand life and just go with it and just be the best version of yourself, and that's really admirable, and it's really nice to see. And like I said, I think it only adds more on to like what you've created, because now there's like, okay, this person is this, and sort of like dissect
Mhm.
your art a little bit better, I guess, with this information. But it's really nice, and I mean, I can only thank you for your time. And I don't know, like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to create next, and just just the best of wishes and the best of vibes and just the best of energy to you for the endeavor that you have.
And to you as well for
Thanks.
this magazine. Like so incredible.
Yeah, thank you so much.